Number one, call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call?
Gamble?
Yep.
Chaffin? Chapman?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
3, inspector's report.
We received 4, I guess, letters opposing. All live with outside the 300-foot radius. One letter is a double. We sent it twice, but there are some changes on the letter. That's it.
Number 4, discussion and action on placing a 10 by 20 shed to be used as a barber shop at 207 West Francis Street, Madill, located in Marshall County. This building will be in the backyard of 207 West Francis Street. Anything to discuss? You want to say anything? Have anything?
I don't. You can open it up for discussion.
You don't want to open it? Do we need to open it?
Yes.
Yep, I'll start my 5 minutes orderly.
So the unscheduled public appearances, I guess we'll
No,
move on
just
to this?
discussion.
Just discussion, and then we have, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it's open for discussion. If anybody wants to say anything, or,
We do have
Chewy?
the hardship to,
Can we ask for that to be read out loud?
can we ask for all the names to be read out?
Yeah, do it.
May we read it out loud?
Oh.
Kristen, is it okay that they read the letter out loud on the hardship?
That's fine, I mean, that's part of their presenting their application.
You'll read it out loud?
I am writing this letter to inform you of the hardships as you have requested in previous meetings. The plumbing for heating in the current building is not, the building I rent is not working in working order, and the owner is not interested in fixing it at this time. Therefore, I have had to close the shop due to it being too cold in the building, this bringing a financial hardship on my income. The rent has also doubled when another barber left the shop due to him pursuing the career he went to school for, something obviously not in my control. I have been a lifelong resident of Madill, and I would like nothing more than to contribute to this town with both my talents I have gone to school for, and I have worked hard to develop through the revenue that this generates with taxes that are paid to the city. Without this adjustment, I will be forced to possibly relocate my business, leaving a void in Madill for men's hair care as possible. Do not wish to go to a beauty shop for their hair cutting needs. With this being said, I ask to please consider this in your decision. Thank you.
anybody else? Anybody else have any comments?
Do we need to all read our letters, or did y'all read our letters that we submitted?
We're reading.
If you would like to, everybody has 5 minutes.
Do you have a copy of it?
And
I do, right
when
here.
somebody has the floor, please keep your comments to yourselves. Jason?
Who's reading for?
So I brought my father Mickey with me since the last two meetings. I've been asked, why is he not here? And I'm the one here representing it. He's my father, and we're business partners in rental property. So preliminarily, the plumbing and the electrical hookup for this has got to be done by a licensed plumber and electrician. That's got to be done out there. The first two meetings, he was under the impression and convinced the board that he didn't have to have plumbing because he was not
No,
washing
he
hair.
didn't.
I thought he was
I
reading
knew
this
different.
letter.
Well, I was in the two meetings and we never knew for sure whether it did or didn't.
No,
Okay.
I knew.
Okay, well, I know now too, and have pointed it out.
Okay, your time's,
So, the other thing is, section 12-235 says we're supposed to protect the residential character of our R2 neighborhoods from commercial and industrial activities and noises. And there's not a lot of parking up there. There's over parking up there. This is at South 2nd Avenue and Francis, and right now that red pickup is still parked there. Both sides of that intersection, the stop sign, you're blocked from seeing before someone pulls out in front of you. Because there's no sidewalks,
Where's that at?
there's no improvements. South 2nd Avenue and Francis, right in front of Ray Noah's old house.
Oh, that's down there on the corner.
And here's the other one showing there's
That's
not
down there on the corner.
the parking and everything. It's inadequate.
Yeah, but you're not actually in the house. Okay.
Are you submitting those for us to keep?
Not to keep, but you can make copies of them. I can take them, or I can PDF copies, but I want my copies
All
back.
right,
So what do y'all want me to do with them?
just keep them for now.
Okay.
Do we need copies?
Section 12-250 of our ordinance says commercial districts are set up to encourage and promote stable commercial economic growth. He was just down there last night
Yes, I have a.
operating in this building that he says the plumbing's bad and he doesn't have any heat on. That doesn't make any sense. It says to operate as a barber, you're supposed to have running water, so he's operating right now without running water in a commercial area. That's a violation in and of itself right now. And the other thing is the hardship. I mean, it just, his landlord's supposed to fix the plumbing in it. And I ask every one of you on the board, how would you like to come home at night and have someone else that's petitioned to put a 10 by 20 shed in their backyard and put a dispensary in it, a pizza place to go, barber shop, or a mechanic shop? How many of you want to get off work after you've been working and go home and put up with listening to that or looking at it out your backyard? We need to promote and encourage economic development in Madill. We have Hard Rock Cafe coming down to the lodge area and lots of improvements there. We've got to step it up in town here and get our downtown area going and get some economic development going. Well, we're going to end up like Mansville when the bypass comes in too. I'm fourth generation on both sides of my family. I love my city and my county, and I don't want to see it continue to deteriorate and go to the dumps. That's all I have to say right now.
What's the difference in his,
Oh, hold on.
So I pointed it, so-
Okay, go ahead.
what's the difference in his shop, being a barber shop? He's not gonna be open at 10 o'clock cutting
Can you
hair.
stand up?
He's gonna be at normal business hours, our barber shop would be open. What's the difference of his barber shop and when my grandma was here, Mimi, Jackie Burns, running one out of her house? What's the difference out of the Martinez one, running one right out of the shop of their house? It's the same thing. It's
Just because
it's just a.
Hey,
Hang on, let's not, let's.
She got her 5 minutes.
He could just add that little building onto his house and be part of his house. It's the same thing. He's a person that's in this, he's us. He was graduated right down here. Why push him out of a town that he calls home? He's been here. He pays taxes here. He is a good citizen. He helps people around. My son goes into his barber shop all the time to get a haircut. And it's not just to get a haircut. They talk about everything. He's not just a barber. He talks to people. He helps them. He does stuff. He's not hurting anybody by cutting hair from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. He's not hurting any of y'all. And the ones that are complaining, y'all don't even live in town.
We own property next door to it.
Then that's fine. But it's in his backyard.
Yes, we
It's,
do.
Hey,
it's
hey,
in,
she has the floor.
it's in his backyard, and it's no different than any other hair salon that has been put in their house. It's no different than any of it. They didn't have parking. The Martinez lady didn't have parking, and she was right there on Bernie Street, right there by the elementary school where all the little kids walk around, and they all could have got ran over. This is at least over there by the football field. It's not even by the direct school. Jackie Burns' house was over there by the elementary school, and there was no parking there too. You had to park on the road, or you had to park on a big hill, and then you backed up, and you couldn't see no little kid walking around. So I don't see what the big deal of him having to come down here multiple times, and when y'all have already approved it, and y'all keep denying it, just let him have a barber shop, guys.
It's never been approved, we've never
Okay.
tried to.
Yeah, writing letters
She-
and disapproving it is not a,
This is our
You
right.
done?
to do this.
and,
Are you
But
done? She still has
we
2
can
minutes.
have the little meat thing down here and makes the whole town smell like crap, but it's okay.
That's part of following the rules and the ordinance.
Anybody else?
All right,
Yeah.
You have something to say.
okay.
I am actually his direct neighbor, and I would not mind at all.
What's her name?
Can you
Anybody
tell us,
keep part.
can you tell us your name?
My name is Guadalupe Perez, and I'm just,
You're a relative?
yes.
Okay. When he said he had closed down and left the barber shop, he was in there last night.
And
Was I
the
got a
weather
pic-
was nice
I got
last
a
night.
picture of him.
Yeah, my son had a haircut.
Yeah.
That's not true. But the other thing, and most of what Jason has said is what I'm repeating, and most of what she has said, happened as we were talking last night, way back when those things were allowed. People had a business in their home. It's now, today, and they don't do that as much. And of course, the other thing I have a problem with is that street is a heavily traveled street for cars, people, children. It doesn't have curbing and it doesn't have sidewalks. And so it's a dangerous place. It goes right down to that signal light and people go that way. The other thing is, he's making and I have nothing against him or her or him or anybody here, but he's making the argument that he has a hardship. He can't make the argument of a hardship. He didn't do the application. She did. She filled out the application because she's the owner of the property. Now, he could have completed the application if he could have, because he was a tenant, and she would have allowed him to do that. But she completed the application. So the hardship is on her, not him. And she can't claim hardship, because I know where she works. I know she has a home, and she won't be living at that place, and she won't be running the barber shop. So she can't claim hardship. And he can't claim hardship because he didn't file the application. She did. So that's all I have to say.
I think she wanted to.
It's really funny because last time when we had the meeting, you blurted out, I was the only one talking. Why was I talking if he was the one? So now you're changing it again, so it doesn't matter what we do, it doesn't matter what anybody says, you're gonna oppose it.
Yes, because it's in
Yes, that's
it's
it.
in an area
Yes.
that's not zoned
Doesn't matter.
for commercial. It's in an
Are you done,
area
Wanda?
that's
Yes.
not
Yes.
zoned for commercial.
Can I talk?
My name's Ria Zamora. We own a construction company out of Tishmingo. If the main thing is, it's just an argument back and forth between the city and the city officials and the public, but it's not what it's about. If he hires a contractor, he has a contractor, and he brings in the licensed plumbing, licensed electrical, and they allow it. He's not having to change the zone from residential to commercial. He asks for a variance. You want to say parking? You can't say parking. I'm under the impression that you probably own the lot to the north of him. I mean, not to the north, to the west? You do, okay. You allow the school to park there for football, correct?
Actually, no, it's not allowed.
It's not allowed,
It's not allowed.
but
They
it
do
does
it on their
happen,
own.
correct? Correct, it
They do it
does.
on their own,
Every
we
Friday
let them
night,
do it.
correct?
And they're gonna start getting charged.
And they're not doing it
Getting
anymore.
charged for it, okay, so you're gonna create currency off of it, I understand. Okay, there's no drive in, there's no drive out. You wanna talk about pulling off on Francis, you can't, there's no right of way. So you're allowing this, but there's not a problem. There's not a problem that there's track meets, football games, etc. Friday night till 10, 11.
There's no ordinance
There's
that
no
says we
issue.
can't park
But
on our
all
lot.
he is doing is cutting hair out of a building. So you're talking about noise complaint. There's no noise complaint. Where is it? There's no noise here. Right now,
There's
where-
noise from people coming and going, getting in and out.
He has the
It's a
floor.
residential area.
Hold on, whoa.
correct,
He has
but
the
you
floor.
have commercial.
He's talking to him.
You have
Yeah, let him finish.
He's got the
Let
floor.
him finish.
Let him
Y'all
finish.
can-
You have commercial businesses right now, just right up here off Drew Street that cuts hair. There's no parking, there's a U. So if you have two people parked in there, if the one that's pulling out can't pull out, this other one has to back up. It's the same issue. But you can park 4 cars comfortably in front of his property. And that he's the only vehicle that lives there. So he has 1 vehicle. He has 2 people at max that gets there. So the next thing you can go to is say, well, it's not handicap accessible. We'll put a sidewalk. He'll put a ramp, etc. He will do whatever you are asking him to do. But regardless, it's just an argument. The city has to decide and make the choice of if it's allowed or not. And it is, because it's constantly going on. Unless you want to say that all these other businesses are grandfathered, but if not, in theory, you should shut them down. So, I mean, you sit here and argue back and forth about what, as long as he's following the rules, pulling the correct permits, and doing what he's supposed to be doing, there's not an issue other than the opinions of each other. But all he's trying to do is create a business for himself. And what's wrong with someone that's from this community creating a business and still paying taxes and supporting the city?
He
There's
doesn't
multiple
pay
kids.
taxes. He
There's
doesn't.
yes,
Whoa,
he
whoa.
does. Yes, he does.
He has the
There's
floor.
multiple kids that come to see him and that get his hair cut, and he goes and supports them, etc. It's just a business. That's it. That just happens to be in a residential zone that he can pull for a variance. The last inspector said it wouldn't be an issue. I'm sure the new inspector really don't have an issue with it. The only problem is that the community has a problem with it. But there's only been 4 letters out of a city that houses, what, 4,000? 5,000? It's just, it's got to make the decision to quit coming back and forth. I'm done now. Thank you.
Okay, I have something
Yeah,
to
they
say.
know they
Can I
gotta-
speak now?
Ms. Kerr.
Do we have to give them more than one, I mean, like, if they've said their thing, are we just gonna keep them have rebuttals?
Well,
back and
Nancy
forth?
hasn't been able to.
Who?
Nancy wants to address
Okay.
them.
Everybody gets
Okay,
one
so all I
chance.
want to address is what Rio said, is that it's not just an argument between the board and the community. It is written in your variance procedures that you have to have, they have to have a hardship that's not self-imposed. I don't know what is so hard for this board to understand that. And your powers are limited by those criteria. It says in your ordinance, in your variance procedures, that these enumerated conditions, which is a hardship that's not self-imposed, these enumerated conditions serve as a limit on the power of the board, and the board is not allowed to change the zoning, which is basically what you're doing. That's why that's in there, because you're letting a commercial business go into a residential area, but he doesn't have a hardship. Financial hardship is self-imposed. None of us can say that we have a financial hardship that the city has to accommodate us. No, we have to go make more money. We have to get a better job. We have to go get educated. I know, I've changed careers 5 times in my life because I had to get a better job, because I needed a better life and a better place for my kid to live. I didn't go to the city and say, will you be my bank? Because that's basically what we're talking about. So as far as it being an argument, if it was just an argument between the board and the people, we wouldn't even be here. But we're relying on the written ordinance and the variances that are right in front of you that you should know, and your attorney should tell you that you are limited to these enumerated conditions. So that's the point I want to make, is that we're going by what's on paper. Once again, if you don't like it, then let's get it changed. But you can't give people just because they come and say, I can't afford it, until the ordinance is changed. You can't do that. So I think that you've way overstepped your boundaries on all this stuff that you've done, because none of you have followed these various procedures, period.
Does it say that financial hardships are not
No,
a hardship?
They're
are they
not. They are
excluded?
self-imposed.
Are they excluded?
Yes, they are.
It says
they are not self-imposed.
But does it
That's
say
what that
financial
means.
hardships?
It says not self-imposed.
That's not what I'm asking you.
I'm telling you,
doesn't say
that's what it
financial.
says.
Does-
But a financial hardship is always self-imposed.
Hardship is the
Nobody-
term. Hardship
nobody-
is the term.
Nobody is. Now, are you going to let me talk? Since you call everybody else
I'm gonna
down,
touch you on
you
that.
call us down for
Minute.
that?
For 1 minute.
Finish that. Finish
Okay,
that.
I'm going to. When it says not self-imposed, that is something that they cannot change. For example, your lots up there on the east side of town, there's 3 lots, 4, 5, and 6. 4 and 5 are huge. They're big enough to put a double wide on. Lot number 6, however, is an irregularly shaped
Which
lot.
lots are you talking about?
The ones over there on East Wolf, you know which ones I'm talking about.
Yeah,
You want
those are
the
not
single
my
ones.
lots.
This
Well,
don't have
whoever
anything
they
to
are,
do
they
with
belong to
it.
the company that you're associated
This
with.
don't have anything to do with it.
Right, yeah.
Okay, what I'm trying to explain to you is what a not self-imposed hardship is. Lot number 6 up there has a shorter, it's an irregularly shaped lot because it's on the end, and it has a shorter back clearance, okay? You could make the argument that you could not, and I don't know because I don't know the dimensions of mobile homes, but the argument could be that because that lot is irregularly shaped, you cannot get the proper setbacks for a double wide in there, therefore you apply for single wide. That would be a hardship that you could legally grant them because they can't change the shape of the lot, okay? He can change his financial status by working harder, getting a better job, whatever you got to do. But all the self-imposed hardships, those are financial because nobody has control over that but you. You're the only one that has control over your finances. And so if it's a problem with the setbacks, if it's a problem with the driveway entrances, like you said, whatever, that is not self-imposed. Those people cannot change the dynamics of a lot.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Well,
I have that right here if you want to read it.
Mary
I've read
Ann,
it before.
last
and
night,
It
excuse me
doesn't
just a
say
minute.
anything about
Mary Ann, last
financial.
night you read something from the ordinance that included financial hardship. Do you have that
No,
available?
I read my own letter.
I'm asking
And
Mary
I
Ann.
was repeating.
I asked Mary Ann to
something
read
that I
that again.
Hold on.
Do you still have that available,
Would
what
you-
you read last night?
What?
Would you read that for us again?
Okay, this is an excerpt from the Oklahoma state statutes that the city has adopted, the Board of Adjustments has adopted.
What's the section?
This is in section,
It's section 12, 125, number 3.
that's not the one I have.
I don't know what you're,
Well, you're looking at the city ordinances, I'm looking at the state statute.
statutes.
That's where our city ordinances come from, but it's according to
Well,
Oklahoma
this
state
is the
statute.
ordinance.
Yes, that is the city ordinance, and I'm reading from Oklahoma statute, and I will get that statute, I believe it's 45, one something, and it's.
So the state is represented.
I'm sorry, we'll move on and come back to it.
Well, she's finding, all I wanted to say is, what you're going off of is a hardship, but hardship is a generic term. Okay, it's a hardship. There's a lot of different kinds of hardships. Financial is a type of hardship. Financial hardships are not excluded. I don't see it in there anywhere.
No.
And you can't say that financial hardships are self-imposed, because that's absolutely
Okay.
not true.
But it's
Because
not-
if that was
it's not-
true, then everybody would make the same amount of money, and we don't all make the same amount of money.
Not true.
The first two meetings.
We
I
can
asked-
agree to disagree on it. We've talked about it before. I'm not going to argue. I'm just giving you my perspective of it. So what y'all say is financial hardship is not allowed, I disagree.
Okay, next one.
So I will get that statute, the number at a later date,
Right.
without
Next
wasting
person.
time here. But our city, the Board of Adjustments, the city ordinance and everything come from Oklahoma State statutes. This is an excerpt from the Oklahoma State statute. It says the Board of Adjustment may consider hardship in specific cases where enforcing the zoning code would cause an unnecessary hardship. The Board of Adjustments may authorize variances from ordinance terms if special conditions would result in unnecessary hardship. The variance may only be the minimum necessary to alleviate hardship. That's what I read last night, and then part of the, I believe what I spoke on was from the city ordinance about causing an undue. So the hardship, if it were enforced, would cause a financial hardship on the individual. So yes, presented as a financial hardship. If you enforced the zoning and restrictions, it would cause an undue, unnecessary financial hardship in return.
Thank you.
I don't.
I'd like to add to that, I disagree with that because he's seeking a benefit that is currently available to him without getting a variance. Just because his tenant, his landlord has not fixed his plumbing is not a reason for a variance. At the first meeting, I asked him, what is his hardship? Why does he want to do this and move out of a commercial area that's working? And he says, I just want my own. And now he has a variance letter that says, this is wrong, that's wrong, this and this. I don't believe it.
Next person.
Anybody else need to say anything that's here? Any other comments? Or y'all want to say anything? You want to say anything? You want to say anything?
No. Well, other than you're our lawyer.
Do you have any?
You have anything?
Anything that you want to put in here?
Do we need
For us?
advice?
I mean, you guys all have copies of the ordinance, right?
Mm-hmm.
My reading of the ordinance is a little bit, I don't have it here with me handy, but my reading of it's a little bit different because it lists out the 3 conditions, but it says or in between. And so, in addition to finding hardship, or it's not contrary to the provisions of the ordinance or the spirit of the ordinance will still be observed, I think is another
Exactly.
granting of.
Right.
I have this one, you want to look at this one, Kristen?
She just said it.
I know what, I mean, that's what I'm saying, it's a
Or
list, but it says
it's not
this,
contrary
or
to-
this,
yes.
not this, and this, is my
Right.
reading of it.
Or, but it's done contrary to the ordinance. If it's contrary to the ordinance, you cannot do it. That's what this says.
My legal counsel told me it was poorly written with the or at the end of the second condition on it, and that probably all 4 should be met.
Well, I didn't write it, so.
And the city attorney's opinion on that is that it is?
That it says or,
It said or. You
not
cannot
and.
do
No,
it.
I
if
mean,
it doesn't
my reading
do
of it doesn't say this, this,
Such
this,
conditions
and
are
this,
either
it
only
says
to
this,
the
this, or this. So it needs to meet one of the
Cause
conditions.
substantial detriment. I'd like to give you this.
I have it.
Okay.
So is there any other thing?
Have you read it?
Any other comments?
Extremely rude.
So we need to move to,
Extremely rude. Who is extremely rude?
Motion.
get a motion to,
I'll approve it.
Second.
Gamble?
Yep.
Chapman? Chapman?
yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
Variance granted.
You have
Yeah,
to read.
variance is granted. Move on to number 5. Any other unscheduled public appearances? Number 6, remarks and inquiries by board members.
No.
Number 7, need a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Second.
Gamble?
Yep.
Chapman? Chapman? Lowe?
See?